Welcome to the training log for the first 2 weeks of August 2023. I'm still moving forward with flesh and metal. I have yet to fail on either of my first two movements, meaning I've been doing them both for over a month now. This sometimes happens with the program. Either a movement will last maybe just 2 or 3 sessions unexpectedly, but sometimes the technical skills just keep on advancing faster than the actual difficulty of the weight, and I can keep going and setting small PRs session after session after session for quite a long time. I don't think this is necessarily a problem. The program is meant to be adaptive to how you're doing. It's not supposed to be strict, so as long as I can keep putting up bigger numbers on the spider squats and the push presses, I'm going to keep doing so, and I consider that a good thing, not a bad thing. I have a few observations about the spider bar and box squats. The first being is that I'm definitely becoming more efficient in the movement pattern. These sets aren't necessarily feeling more difficult, even though the weight is going up. If anything, they are sometimes feeling easier. That's definitely not reflecting the warmth. The warmth always feel terrible because this is kind of a strange movement pattern for me, but once the weight gets on there, it really forces me to lift effectively and efficiently, and they feel much better. I will say that I am converting, or I guess moving more to the posterior chain than the quads as they become more efficient. This is not surprising, as my posterior chain is massively more powerful and effective at moving weight than my quads are. That's just how I'm built. That's where my strength lies. So that is a good and bad thing. Ultimately, my goal here is to become stronger, and if becoming stronger means using my strengths, so be it. It would be nice to increase the strength of my quad-focused squatting movement pattern, because that is a weak point relative to my kind of hip hingy-based squatting movement, but this is not apparently the movement to do that. I'm not going to force myself into a quad-focused squatting pattern on this movement, because that will not allow me to push myself as hard as possible for this movement. I could try to turn this movement into a quad-focused one, but that wouldn't really be efficient in my mind. A better option would be to find a different squatting movement that does not allow me to become posteriorly chain dominant just based on how the movement pattern is set up. I'm not sure what that movement would be, maybe something more like a front squat, but that might just have to be the next option for a compound squatting movement. I thought this one would end up more quad focused and wouldn't let me kind of cheat, quote unquote, with my posterior chain, but that does not appear to be the case. As you can tell, hips are going up, and I'm definitely hinging more than I am pushing with my quads. So that is how it is. It's not a bad thing, it's just a thing, and as long as weight goes up, I'm happy. Moving on, we have the push presses. These continue to go up. There was a bit of a hiccup in the third week here. I went from 10 reps down to 9, and honestly, the 9th lockout was a bit shaky. And if I count that 9th rep, it does calculate to slightly higher of an effective 1 rep max than the previous set of 10. And I just felt like maybe it was a bad day. I felt like overall the push presses were going pretty well, and I wanted to keep exploring them. So I kind of fudged my value to give myself a PR as opposed to canceling the movement. Now, is that strictly following the program? No, but it's my program. I'm on training. I can do whatever I want. Complained to my supervisor. And it was a good decision, because the next week I did 5 extra pounds as I've been doing, and I got my 9 reps just fine. And that puts me in spitting distance of some of my best sets from when I did this program with push presses last summer when I had a healthy shoulder. So I'm getting pretty close to where I was, and I'm hoping that it will continue to go up and I can eventually get back to where I was with overhead pressing, if not farther. Now, if that'll happen, not guaranteed, but I'm still feeling good. If I do hit a wall, I'll have to explore perhaps some more dedicated recovery planning, maybe see if I can find a very competent physio, and of course, worst case scenario, if I just cannot reclaim the strength I had, I will explore the surgical option and see if repairing my labrum will get me back where I need to be. But that's all stuff to think about in the far future, because right now I'm still putting up bigger numbers, I'm still feeling pretty good, and I still have quite a bit of essentially time debt that I need to build back from, because I did have months and months of essentially not using that shoulder, and that kind of strength and size just doesn't come back even in 4 weeks. So I'm going to keep training it, going to keep trying, going to keep building up stability and strength, and see where that takes me. And part of rebuilding that strength and more importantly stability is still including the overhead holds. Last time I posted a video, I was just doing them statically standing there, and I've since progressed to essentially doing them as walks. And this is becoming more and more comfortable. I'm able to do the same weight with both my right and left shoulder. It's a little bit harder to get the barbell up into the position with the one hand snatch using my right shoulder, but the stability is almost as good as my left shoulder, and I think that's a good sign. It makes me think that some of the issues I'm having with locking down overhead with two hands in the bar are not so much that the right shoulder is insufficiently stable as it is that it has insufficient mobility, because this one-handed version does allow you to contort your torso a bit more into a more favorable position for your shoulder, because you do not need to keep your other side also in the same lock position. This is true of most single-handed movements. They are more difficult in terms of stabilization, but they're less difficult in terms of mobility need and sometimes range of strength, because you can have more leeway with how you position the joint, because you can twist your body. Besides the flesh and metal days, my additional training days, which are more on the hypertrophy side of things, I do so commercial gym use all machines, those are still going well. I'm still seeing increases in weights on a lot of those movements, particularly on the leg days, which I really enjoy because, as I said before, no other day really allows you to push yourself as hard mentally and systemically as the lower body days. And there's something about that kind of training that is invaluable in general, just for the way it impacts your mindset, your ability to put out effort, and it just makes you feel good if you're the kind of person that enjoys feeling physically crappy and taking a sense of accomplishment from that. I have one last announcement. You may see some new clothes in these last two videos, and that's because as of about a week ago, I am now sponsored by Rascal Apparel. They make these awesome stretchy gym shorts. They make a bunch of fun t-shirts. They have some other joggers, dump covers, oversized tees, a couple pairs of shoes, long sleeves, all kinds of fun stuff. So if you've never heard of them, consider checking them out at rascalapparel.com. And if you like what you see, my discount code DeadliestLift will get you 10% off. So yeah, if you want to get something from them and you feel like supporting me, feel free to use that code. If you don't like what you see, don't feel they need to buy. Obviously, I don't want people to buy funny t-shirts and just to get me a few bucks in commission. So yeah, that's about all I have for this week, and I will see you all real soon.